So recently I've been working on a school project with my friends. It's actually a coursework. The course is making um, a rip off of the game Bomberman. So the project was such a disaster. And if you're interested in why, just keep on listening. So the thing here is that we took 5 weeks to decide on what to write the game in. The teacher recommended Java, but I like using game engines, so I suggested using Godot. But my friend wasn't such fond of the idea, but they want to compromise, so they want to settle on Godot Mono, which is the C sharp version of Godot, which I'm not well versed in C sharp or Godot Mono, but I'm willing to learn if they are willing to learn too. So we spend weeks and weeks prototyping. I actually spent weeks prototyping it in normal Godot, and I'm trying to port it to Godot Mono. I jokingly said like someone's gotta do the porting, but I didn't expect that it will be a whole mess. So later on the fifth week after my friend said he will work on it and showed his work, when he actually finally pushed the work, I knew we were gonna go through a long argument, a long discussion, to say the least. So the discussion was mainly about how the program was really pointless on what he did. He made an entire game which doesn't even rely on the very foundation of Godot, which just destroys the whole point of using Godot in the first place. And then he explains he didn't want to rely on Godot too much. But at that point, it's like using building a boat and not building a speedboat, deciding on a speedboat and then not using the engine and decided to use the paddle itself. Which is, to say the least, dumb. I don't understand what point are they trying to prove. Like at this point, I understand now they don't want to work with Godot, so I just suggest, fine, we'll just go with your Java thing and we'll be done with it. And he's like, no, no, no. We can probably do like a midway stuff. Like I've been working on this, and the code is so shit. Like I made this Godot version in the GD script in like days. A working Bomberman movement bomb, and then the map in one day, and he took like 3 weeks 4 weeks to do in C sharp while trying to jump over the hoop of Godot engine on like how each function of Godot, trying to avoid the physics engine, collision engine, physics 2D, the collision, which resulted in 4 week worth of nothing. And I could have done it, and he could have just said he didn't want to do it. I made a GD script, everything was simple and done. So then the way I did convince him to go for Java was actually making him write in Java and then me writing in Godot Mono to do like a showdown on which one we should go on. And I spent an entire night working on my Godot Mono, knowing that it's gonna go to trash for sure. The reason I actually went to rework on it was because he was using a single scene and then a bunch of script, which actually loads and unloads the player and tile. Like normally you would have a scene for a wall, a scene for a player, a scene for a level, but he made a level scene, which not even making a level like this, he's using a script to make a level based on a function, which is not wrong in itself, but he even uses like a load function within the script, which is destroying the whole point of using a Godot. You can switch scene easily, do an instantiation easily, but if you're trying to go with pure script at that point, might as well write in raw C sharp. Would have been easier. Because in Godot you cannot call the library directly, you need to use them like Godot dot blah blah dot something, which is a hassle. Which is why I made him do Java, then he wrote it in the night, like mine, then he presented it. Then, whenever you build something with your hard work, you just get attached to it, have a bias. And he's like, how about we use Java? I was like, yeah, sure, let's use Java. Finally, I pushed him to use Java. And so, we reached to a point where the map of his made was done based on a UML diagram, which we discussed. Actually, it was my UML and he modified and I actually didn't read it. It's partially my fault on how we reached here. Because I thought the UML, whatever he made, was probably made with more brains than what I did. Mine was like ChatGPT and I just do a proofread of it, then I send it to the group. But apparently his UML was even shittier and removing important function and variable. I think they call attribute. Yeah, attribute of the class. And I didn't notice it because I thought that it was just like a remake version of the same thing with the correct relation arrow. And he did it and everything. And then my second teammate, he said he'll work on on one of the class called monster, but due to the NDA or or not sharing the code online thing, I'll be modifying it a bit, so I'll call it Pokemon instead. So now I'm not violating anything school. Look at it with your eyes. It's Pokemon, not monster, or whatever function it was. So as you can see in the screen, this code is literally 12 line, counting the space, 11 without space. And can you guess how many days it took for him to write that? It was around 2 days. A day on Sunday and then Monday evening to write that. Like, what the fuck? I could have wrote that in 5 minutes. He actually delayed this from like Sunday to Monday morning, and he delayed it to Monday evening, and decided to push at like midnight or something because there was a problem. At first I thought it was like making some complex character movement, AI movement. I wouldn't call it AI movement, it's stupid. They should have just called it an algorithm, move based on pattern. Like, why didn't we even delegate this task to him if all he does is this much? And I just start working on my today because my part was making the player movement, and it was simple when I first look at the code till I start trying to compile it and run it. That's when I realized that, you know what? They are using NetBeans and using a design on NetBeans, which I specifically mentioned at the beginning of our meeting on the first week, that can we try to avoid those things since it would be more dependent on using a particular software. And they said sure. And this is what I got, a NetBeans project. But fuck no, am I gonna install NetBeans and that shitty software. So I decided to go through all the hassle of trying to understand the code and then read through all the XML and build. And then I eventually stumbled upon build.xml, which is probably the framework you call it. I think framework or whatever it's called, a build system. Yeah, a build system, which is exclusive to Ant. They call it build.xml by default. So I realized it was Ant. That's when I start researching on how to actually build on Ant. Then I got an then I got a tarball file, unpackage it, then start to build it. Then it doesn't work. Then I need to go through ChatGPTing on how ants work without using NetBeans, because in NetBeans you only click like build and it will be done. And then once I was done, I realized that my friend he he get commit the build also, which it's pointless and it's eating up space and just wasting my time downloading it down. So I just remove it and then just get like unnecessary, then add a get ignore on it. After that, I got annoyed typing the path of the thing every time, so I made an env for it. So I made a alias for it. Wait, let me see if I can actually cd into the project. Yeah. Okay, then so I made an env, which is basically an alias, a bunch of alias that I would run every time, and then it made my life easier. Then after that, I just build it, rebuilding it. But then I reached to the point of actually trying to put the player on the map. That's when I actually realized there's no way to do that directly. There's no way to interact it, because they make the tile, they make the box and the wall, the box and the wall of the game like Bomberman, the box and the wall. Apparently, the box and the wall are part of a tile, but the player is not. So the entire map will be drawn only for tiles, and the player cannot be in it. So I need to do a stupid workaround so that it will be backward compatible, which took a whole while to understand the code, because his code was such a sketchy code. Like, I know my code is shit, it's terrible for sure, but ain't no way I wrote a code that bad. And the worst part is he didn't document shit. Not that the document will help much anyway. And when I was making a player class, I realized there were a bunch of problems and attribute and method which is actually missing from the UML diagram. And so I commented on how we should add this and then remove that back and all. And that's when I came to realize another thing. He didn't actually follow the fucking UML diagram he remade from mine. Like, what the fuck? You don't even follow your own UML diagram. And he's just overcomplicating thing by using a thing called point in Java, which is basically which is basically a variable, a type of variable, which is like what do I call it? Yeah, a type of variable which contains an x and a y. But the annoying part here is that, oh my god, import it, god damn it. Yeah, get off wheel and went crazy. Yeah, so it takes an x and a y. It's like a vector 2D in Godot, but the rest of its integration is using based on int x and int y, which is shit. For one thing, is because point, just like vector 2D, is a double, or like sort of a float like double float, if that's even a variable thing, if that's even a type. And we need to do a whole conversion ass thing just to comply with his UML. If I knew he didn't follow the UML, I would have used an x and a y at the beginning. And apart from that, I had a exam like yesterday, and it was full of shit. I did database. I was blank the entire time till the last 10 minutes. So I'm flunking the midterm of database. Then today I actually had the what's it called again? It was called functional of the computation. It's people to call it photalk 1, basically, which was fine, but they did a did a reverse Uno card by actually asking you to draw a DFA. A DFA, it's a deterministic finite automata. A DFA, which is not easy. DFA is not hard, but the hard part is that they're asking me to do a a mod, a divisible by 4 on a ternary. For those of you who don't know what's ternary is a base tree system. Like binary has 0 and 1, ternary has a 0, 1, 2, and they want it to be a mod. It needs to be divisible by 4. Like, we never did anything close to ternary or how to do the modding of it. Like, if it's a binary, I might have a chance of solving it, but I ain't no way doing a ternary divisible by 4. And so after the exam, I asked my friend, like, how the hell did you do it? You seem pretty happy. And he's like, it's not my proudest moment, but it's literally on YouTube. It's literally on YouTube. Like, fuck. Like, fuck God. Like, it's on YouTube. That's how pissed I was. It's literally on fucking YouTube. And he didn't even mention shit about it. Yeah, so I just sat there wasting half an hour trying to figure this out. And all it took was 4's fucking state. But I never worked with ternary. It's just frustrating. And tomorrow now I have to work to do the cryptography assignment or test, whatever it is. I don't actually remember. And the other one was what is it called again? Yeah, it's the software technology, the one which I'm doing the Bomberman clone of. Oh yeah, by the way, the cryptography one is actually a pretty funny subject due to the fact that each group has different type of grading system. Like my group, I think it was an assignment based, while the other group was a test based. It's like the inconsistency is so bad in this school that you could get fucked over depending on the semester. Like, for example, if you took algorithm and data structure 1 at the preliminary time, like on preliminary side, it's like on the winter term instead of the summer term, then the grading system will be different. Instead of like doing a midterm test and final test for practice, then do a lecture test, you will have just quiz 1, quiz 2, which is like 60 points each, and you only need to get 60 points to pass and get an offer grade in lecture. So you don't even need to do the lecture test itself, which is like ridiculous. And yes, the ADS, that's what I'm calling it, ADS 1, ADS 2, is apparently easier for preliminary people. Like, I failed the ADS 1 lecture because the lecture exam was red and hard. So I dropped into ADS 1 of the preliminary term, and now I'm on ADS 2. And I took the quiz. It's the same teacher as the preliminary ADS teacher. So I got an easy way out. But my friend who took the ADS 2 last semester was screwed so badly, and they thought they could take a redemption arc like mine, like because my ADS one, I only need to take the quiz 1, quiz 2, but apparently the lecturer decided to change, and that you need to take the lecture only exam, the oral exam basically, and you can no longer take the quiz 1, quiz 2 for people who are lecture only. So they were like crying about how they should have just failed the practice class. It was so sad. But I was also sort of glad at the same time that I just failed my ADS 1 lecture in the first place. I don't know if this will be changed in the future. And that's about it, I think. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please like and subscribe. And I don't know how much I'll be making the content like this. This is a random rambling. But I plan to at least do an upload like every 2 days or so, just to have a proper update schedule, and probably practice more editing. This one will be no editing at all, just raw upload whatever shit I wrote. Whatever shit I say, I'll just be up there immediately because I'm lazy and I want to go to sleep now. It's like it's 10:15. I've been tired doing shit Java, which I hate. So I'm gonna go to sleep now and have a good night. And if you're joining ELTE, I hope you actually pick smartly on how you do things, because each teacher does different things so much. And you can join a Discord link below. It's a dead Discord anyway server if you want to talk and ask me, but don't ask me about like first, second semester, third semester. I have a short-term memory. Asking a person who has like I think people who have like dementia might have better chance of remembering than me. But that's about it. That's it. Good night. Have a great day. See ya.